各位同事
Members, it is time to start the meeting and we have a quorum. Now, we have the chairman election for the FSEH panel for 2013-14. According to Rules of Procedure 77(6), if you are holding a post which has to do with the business of this panel in the administration, you should not become the chairman or vice chairman. And also, according to Rules of Procedure 77(7), you should not be the chairman or vice chairman of more than one panel. And according to House Rules 22 and also Appendix 4, I like to ask for nominations for the chairmanship and vice chairmanship. There must be a nomination and a secondment. That is, we have to have a seconder, and also the nominated member should accept the nomination. First nomination for Dr. Helena Wong. Any seconder? Dr. Joseph Lee.
提名獲得附議係轉第5頁
Page 5. Dr. Helena Wong, do you accept nomination? I do, Chairman. Any other nominations? Any other nominations? I declare Dr. Helena Wong returned as chairman of the FSEH panel. Congratulations. Please take the chair. Thank you, members. Now we have to elect the deputy chairman for the FSEH panel for the session 2013-14. We need to have an oral nomination, and there must be at least another member giving support, that is seconding orally, and also the nominated member must accept nomination. Ms. Priscilla Leung, I nominate Mr. Ho Chen Yin. Any seconder? Mr. Christopher Chung. Mr. Ho Chen Yin, do you accept nomination as the deputy chairman? I do. Any other nominations for deputy chairmanship? If not, I declare Mr. Stephen Ho Chen Yin returned deputy chairman of the FSEH panel. Congratulations to you, Mr. Ho. Thank you. The membership of this panel stands at 21, but there is an overdue application, and we need to deal with that now. Mr. Wong Kwok Kin wrote in on the 8th of October to the chairman of the panel, hoping to join the panel. However, he has exceeded the deadline for application to join the panel. Now, members, you have this letter with you from Mr. Wong Kwok Kin, and that is in Appendix 5. And you see the application. Members, can you indicate whether you accept the overdue application from Mr. Wong Kwok Kin to be a member of this panel? Any objections? If not, we will accept Mr. Wong Kwok Kin's application. So our membership now stands at 22 members. Members, can I ask you to look at the schedule for our regular meetings in the coming year?
Members,
if you do not object, Basically, we are going to follow the schedule of the last session. In other words, our regular meeting will be held on the second Tuesday of each month at 2:30 p.m. And the schedule is at Appendix 4. Members, what do you think of this arrangement? In other words, we follow the arrangements of last year. If you have no objection, we will have our regular meetings on the second Tuesday. And it is quite fortunate that we are not going to clash with any public holidays. So the schedule will be as proposed. The Secretariat will issue the meeting dates to you again by way of a notice. Items for discussion at the next meeting. Please refer to Appendix 5. We have the list of outstanding items for discussion there. We have got a few items already in Appendix 5. Do you think any of them should warrant our immediate attention because they are urgent? And we have talked to the Secretary, Mr. Cole, and he would like to propose certain items for our November meeting. First of all, fire safety requirements on food premises. This is already in the list. He thinks that this is an urgent matter because it has to do with safety. If you have no objection, we'll deal with this at the next meeting. Another one, Sustainable Fisheries Development Fund. We touched upon this last year, but many members asked questions and queries about the paper provided. The panel will again ask the Secretary to provide papers to respond to questions raised by members. This will also be taken up at the next meeting. Members, any questions or objection? Dr. Kiki Kwok. Mr. Wong Kwok Hing raised his hand first. Mr. Wong Kwok Hing. Thank you, Chairman. I hope you will talk to the Secretary about opening up the supply of live cattle market. This is number 10 in the list. And the proposed time for discussion is to be confirmed as stated in the list. But with regard to the supply of live cattle to Hong Kong, there was a clear consensus already reached last year. And the administration also promised that in the fourth quarter of this year, it can come back to us to give us an account. I believe we should not drag on the matter anymore because the price of beef continues to escalate. I think the chairman should talk to the administration that we should take this up either in November or December and that they should not postpone the issue anymore. Thank you. Live cattle is in the agenda. So do you think you want to propose anything urgent for November? Chairman, I think we should take this up in November. They should not drag on the matter anymore. We'll listen out what members would like to propose for discussion in the year, and then we will give them priority. Members, please speak up, and we will talk to the Secretary. Next, Dr. Joseph Lee, and then KK Kwok. Are we not going to talk about columbaria? I have heard the Secretary say on different occasions that this would be delayed. However, this is an important livelihood issue. Now, I don't know why the administration has proposed two items. I can't see how urgent they are. But then the columbaria issue has been discussed last year, and then the Secretary has not given us any update on progress or any difficulties involved over the entire year. And there are now illegal columbaria still in operation, and consumers are going to lose out. So I believe we should take this up immediately in November. In the list, we have an item on the supply of public columbarium and also control of private columbaria. The administration has told us that it proposes to deal with this year, but if you think it is urgent, we can talk to the Secretary. Dr. K.K. Kwok and then Mr. Kenneth Chan. Chairman, I agree. Whether it is public or private, especially the private columbaria, as you know, we have got another problem quite recently. And if you delay for another day, there is a bigger chance for consumers to be ripped off by unscrupulous merchants. I think this is urgent, and I think there are two others which are important. First of all, nutrition labeling. I think we should take stock of the situation now. Many residents have said that the merchants are not complying. Another one, it is not so urgent, but I think we need to look at it anyway, and that is the handling of stray animals. As you know, stray animals, once caught, can be killed and no fees need to be paid. But if they are adopted, you have to pay a fee. Such a policy will only encourage irresponsible pet owners to kill their pets. I think it is a policy issue. Okay, stray animals. There are two things. One is already in the list, and that is the capture, neuter, and release program. I think it has not been visited last year. I think we should look at it now. And then the issue of cattle on Lantau. I think these two can be taken up together. We'll talk to the administration. Mr. Kenneth Chan. Thank you, Chairman. First, columbaria. I think it is our concern. It has been a year already, and now we have the Chongyang Festival round the corner. It is not just about making the legislation, but the administration has been having correspondence with these private columbarium, but I think they are just wasting time. I think we should be clear about the policy. Secondly, hawkers. Before the end of the session, we agreed that we should set up the subcommittee on hawker policy. It is now standing in line to kickstart its work, but now I think we should ask the administration to be prepared to come up with a hawker policy, and let us also try to participate in the brewing of that policy. And then also the two-tin rule about the provision of baby formula. I think we need to follow up on that. Yes, they should come back on the two-tin rule on baby formula because they have just conducted a stress test, and I think the Secretary has to let us know the results of that test. Wu Chi-wai and then Sit-ho. Thank you, Chairman. I hope we can talk about our agricultural policy, because in the planning for the Northeast territories, we also need to look at our agricultural policy. Recently, the chief executive said that food waste produced in Hong Kong can keep or help us keep 70,000 pigs. Now, if that is the case, we should have pig farming again. Because now in Hong Kong farms, we already have 74,000 pigs. If that is what the chief executive has said, he might have already pointed a good direction for us to go in. And that would be such a good idea for dealing with food waste. Whether his figures are correct, we need to take another look. So, development of agriculture in Hong Kong. It can help us give our own supply in the food chain. Okay, thank you, Mr. Wu Chi-wai. I think this item is already in the list of outstanding items. We only have 5 more minutes. A few more members would like to speak. Sit-ho and then Priscilla Leung.
Well, yes, we should know how the stress test went during the 1st of October week. So that's about the 2-10 rule of baby formula. Oh, I think we should discuss the supply and demand situation, because by the time we have discussed this matter is already the Chinese New Year. And also animal abuse, dogs and cats. I think we should ask the administration to tell us how it is going to review the regulations on cruelty to cats and dogs, so that people will not be so brutal. All right. Some organizations would like us to talk about the issue of animal police. The penalty is there. The maximum fine is $200,000 and 3 years of imprisonment, though we cannot influence how the court meets our sentences. All right, we'll not follow up today, but we will cover that under police, animal police, and cruelty to animals. Dr. Priscilla Leung, Columbaria and the 2-10 rule for baby formula, I agree that they should be a court priority. And also rodent control and mosquito control. I'd like to talk about fleas as well. In some shape, this is a serious problem because last summer it was really bothering residents. So let's discuss fleas and also liquor licensing. How the LLB approves licenses. Sometimes a flat in a residential building has been granted liquor license. So we should discuss the guidelines. And item 3, reprovisioning of Sai Street vehicle depot on Yanming Road. Okay. And Mr. Tommy Cheung, to be followed by Mr. Stephen Ho. Chairman, before we started business last year, I took the trade to meet with Dr. Ko to talk about the supply of live cattle. I understand Mr. Wong Kok-heng's position. However, prices of live cattle on the mainland really surged recently. So some members of the trade would like to have live cattle imported or exported to the mainland. So I think for next month, the urgent matter should be Columbaria and also supply of live cattle. So I was thinking that we were discussing agenda for the next meeting. So I support Columbaria. Mr. Stephen Ho. Thank you, Madam Chair, and also the comments by Mr. Tommy Cheung. Item 16 is our agricultural policy. I think that is far low down the list. At least we should discuss it next year, because development of Northeast NT, the works proposals already with LegCo, and Mr. Paul Chen was just criticized yesterday by members. So it's not just about the pig waste, but it's also about compensation and also our agriculture policy. And also the question of live cattle. We are concerned about that. But yes and no, the community is suffering from high beef prices, but I believe the issue of Columbaria is more pressing. Mr. Chen Chi-chun, my concern may not be regarded as too urgent. It's always ignored, and that is about the safety of pet food. All right, pet. And then residual pesticides, pesticide residuals in Chinese medicine. And I raised that at the Health Service Panel meeting. We have to check with the Secretary whether that falls within the terms of reference of this panel or the other. When we have sorted that, I will decide whether it should be included on the list. All right. Agenda for next meeting. Now, there's the proposal that we should discuss the progress of Columbaria in November. However, Sustainable Fisheries Development Fund and fire safety requirements on food premises, the administration very much wants to discuss these. So are we going to have 3 items, or do we have to take out one? We'll discuss with the secretary. Because the issue of Columbaria is a very big one, and also the 2-tin rule, the stress test of the 2-tin rule. If it is already available, the results are available, we can discuss it in November. And if members have further proposals for agenda or for our meeting, you can let the secretariat know. Okay, the meeting ends here. Thank you very much.